Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I am a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to those of you that are just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I answer your questions and I share with you some techniques that I use every day in my own voiceover business. So today, I'm doing another live stream, live Q&A. Apparently, I'm doing some sort of a buffering thing on my end, so I'm hoping that you can see and hear me okay. Let me just double check that my mic is on. And it's not. Oh my gosh, I think I had my mic off that entire time. Hang on, let me just check here. Can everybody hear me okay? Such a noob. Well, if you didn't hear any of that, my name is Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to those of you that are just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you some techniques that I use every day in my own voiceover business, and I answer your questions. So today I'm doing another live, and I'm hoping that everything is working. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I can't see if I'm actually live or not, but can you guys let me know in the chat if you can see and hear me okay? Good Lord. Okay. Well, anyway, I am here for, okay, good. Thank you. Okay. So I am here for to promote teamseas, of course. And teamseas is an organization. It's a group of YouTubers and other social influencers that are joining forces to promote teamseas, which is a movement to reduce or remove all the trash from our waterways and our beaches. So if you haven't already donated, please check out teamseas.org. The goal is to remove 30 million pounds of trash from our beaches, oceans, and rivers by January 1st. And we're at about 18 million pounds right now. So we're a little ways away from our goal, but we will get there. So today it looks like we have some questions. Okay. Well, I can't see what's going on my side, but luckily it looks like everything is working okay. Okay, perfect. All right. So let us get into the questions. So the first question is from Telewriter. I'm just about to get started. I saw your self-help ACX audition yesterday. You closed your door because your computer is noisy. So my question is, on what sort of device were you reading the script? To start, I used a tablet that I kind of positioned over here, and I read from that and then just kind of swiveled my chair, but I still kind of remained in front of my microphone. But that was before I invested in a larger monitor. So I have I think it's a 27-inch curved monitor, and it's large enough that I can split the screen and show my copy on one side and my DAW on the other. So I'm pretty much just facing the same direction for everything. So that kind of cancels out any kind of variation in mic placement or the way that I sound, if that makes sense. So everything is read off of my computer monitor. So it just makes things a little bit easier. But I know a lot of people that use tablets, some sort of like a music stand where they hold music sheets and stuff. You can put your tablet on that, or there's actually tablet holders that can mount to a mic arm or a mic stand, which I have done, and you can use that as well to hold your tablet. Whatever works for you, whatever your space allows and ends up sounding good, right? Telewriter also says, I keep wondering whether I should print scripts and then put them on a music stand or use a tablet or what. You do whatever is easiest for you. I don't recommend printing out scripts just because of, you don't keep them. Don't really do anything with them. There's a lot that you can do from a tablet if you need to mark up the copy or highlight certain sections. Like, for example, if you're narrating an audiobook and there are different characters, or maybe you want to put stress on a certain sentence or something like that, you can mark it up with a lot of different apps that are in the tablet. So you could do it that way instead of physically marking on a piece of paper. Plus it saves, it saves all the extra recycling and paper costs, right? Briscoe VO, hello, hello. I've been using a tablet to read scripts for auditions because they are quieter than laptops. Yes, they are. The tablets tend to not make a whole lot of noise, but just remember to turn all the notifications off or to mute them. Otherwise, the thing's going to be buzzing every time you get a notification or making a noise. So just keep that in mind. Been there. The Simpleton Review says, hello, hello, hello. Thanks for watching. I have a question. What is the sync option in Fiverr? I have never put it as something I do since I don't know what it is, LOL. Yes, the sync option can actually be used a couple of different ways. Depending on the gig that you're putting it on, I have the sync option for two different purposes. One is if the client has given you a script that has specific timestamps as to when the voiceover is supposed to occur, or if they've given you a video, right, and they need that voiceover synced to the video, that's what I would use sync for. However, if memory serves, the option is per 60 seconds. And from my experience, most clients don't understand really what that means, because that would be per 60 seconds of audio or video, depending on what you're doing. And most clients don't select or differentiate 60 seconds from a minute to 20 minutes. So what I do is I don't use that option, but I make it an extra down towards the bottom, like a custom extra. And I say, I just make it like a flat fee for syncing the audio to the video for, I believe my fee is $50 up to 20, 30 minutes. So that kind of covers me for any amount of time to sync the video or the VO to the video. Let's see, D. Myers, hello. Thanks for joining. Simpleton Review, yep, okay, so clarification that you guys can hear and see me. Okay, good. Andy Moore says, hello. Just tuned in from, oh my goodness, Leicestershire? Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but yeah, it works. Okay, great. Daniel Bader, hello, hello. I'll see you in a little bit. I can see you and hear you. Thank you very much. 7 Makes One Dream. Hi, I'm somebody who's looking to get into audiobook voiceover. Well, welcome. Do you think a Blue Yeti microphone would be okay to start off with? I started out with a Blue Yeti microphone. So I think you are good to start with a Blue Yeti to start. Eventually, you probably want to upgrade, but just because that's just the natural progression of how we do things. We get a little bit of money and then we invest in new toys, because just that's the way it goes. But a Blue Yeti is perfectly fine to start out with. I did. I used one for my first year, and then I upgraded to a Rode NT1A, and then my Sennheiser, which I've had for a couple of years now. Tom Freya says all is okay. Thank you very much. Andy Moore says, K&M do some pretty sweet tablet holders and mic arms, not cheap, but solid as houses. Yeah, they're, I forget where I got mine. Mine is from Newer. It's probably from Amazon, but it will hold tablets of varying sizes. They're all different sizes now, but it'll hold, I think my Samsung tablet is the 10.5-inch one. It's a few years old, but I believe it's 10.5-inch. And it holds that perfectly fine. And it'll hold it horizontal or vertical, depending on whatever's easier for you. And it's mounted to a mic stand. Or, yeah, that is a mic stand. Telewriter says, thank you so much. You're the best. Thank you. You're the best. You guys are all the best. All of you are the best. Trinchera Music. Hi, Arthur. Hi, I have it on my phone, but I can't find in PC. I'm not sure what you mean. What are you looking for on your PC? Have it on my phone, but I can't find in PC. I'm not sure what you mean. Can you clarify? Tom Freya says, I use an iPad mini. Yep, that works. Briscoe VO, notifications have killed some recordings for me when I forgot to turn them off. Boo. Yeah. You mean like on the tablet? Yeah, for sure. I learned that the hard way too. Because you're right in the middle of a great delivery and there's nothing worse. Well, there are stuff that's worse than that, but you know what I mean. I mean, if you're right in the middle of just, it feels right and you've got it down after a bunch of different takes and the darn thing starts buzzing. I totally get it. Johnny Miller says, howdy. How do you keep your MKH 416 at that angle to your mouth when you record? It's actually on a desktop mount mic arm, and it's actually sitting in a shock mount that holds it horizontally, and it's movable, so you can position it just about any which way you want. But this position was actually recommended to me by Tim Tibbetts, who is an audio engineer, voiceover ninja. And I have seen a few different positions for the MKH or a shotgun in general that work fairly well. And one is to have it at a 45-degree angle down, pointing to your mouth. Or this one here that's just slightly off axis. So it's still picking up everything that I'm saying, but I'm not speaking directly into it, which reduces plosives and other extraneous mouth noises, right? So it's still picking up exactly what's in front of it, but I'm not blowing plosives into it. So it works for me. Okay. Excuse me. Arthur says, hi, got it. Okay, good. Tom Freya, do you work with publishers for audiobooks? I couldn't really tell you. I think I have worked with some indie publishers. A lot of my clients are from varying places, and a lot of times they don't tell me exactly what they do or who they work with, but I could tell you with some certainty that I believe that a lot of my clients are indie publishers. But no big publishers directly, not yet anyway. I'm perfectly fine with working with my indie authors. I enjoy it. I enjoy helping out authors just getting started. So I'm very happy with doing that. But eventually, I'll probably work directly with publishers. 7 makes one dream. Thanks. I'll be using the Blue Yeti then. One more thing. Would that pair well with Audacity for the recording application? I used Audacity with my Blue Yeti in the very beginning. I found that maybe a few months, I only used Audacity for maybe 2 or 3 months, and then I switched to Adobe Audition. I found it much more intuitive and easy to understand. Plus, I have found and heard from others that Adobe Audition is a little bit more voiceover friendly. There's a lot more effects and functions and features that it has that are a little bit more friendly for what we do on a daily basis. So I prefer Adobe Audition, but Audacity is perfectly fine to start with, and it's free, so you can't really go wrong with that. William Downing says, hey, Angela. Well, hey. Do you ever take regular days off from VO, or do you pretty much work 7 days a week unless it's a holiday or something? I can tell you, William, I am in here for at least 2 or 3 hours every day, at the very least, because as I've mentioned before, you're running a business. So there's a lot of different hats you have to wear. So not only responding to clients, maybe doing some pickups and revisions, but you're answering emails, you're checking notifications on all of the various platforms that we're on. But holidays like Christmas and maybe Thanksgiving, maybe Easter, major holidays, I try not to be in here. I try to spend those days with my family the entire day because every once in a while we need a break, right? But I don't really take vacations, although I probably should. But to answer your question, yes, I'm pretty much in here 7 days a week, at least a couple of hours. Most of the time I'm in here 10, 12 hours a day, just because there's just so much to do and so much to stay on top of. Padrika Gray. Hello, Angela. Well, hello. 2 questions. 1, who would you recommend if you had private training to teach the ins and outs of Adobe Audition? Excuse me. And 2, did you start with Audacity as a DAW? Excuse me. Yes, I did start with Audacity as a DAW, but only just for a few months. And then I learned Adobe Audition. And with Adobe Audition, there are plenty of tutorials that are available for you within Adobe Audition when you first upload it, right? There are tons of tutorials in there about how to use it. Plus, YouTube is an absolute goldmine for information on how to use Adobe Audition. And I eventually sought out the help of, again, Tim Tippett, who is just a wizard with Adobe Audition. He has a course. If you go check out his website, votechguru.com, he's got an Adobe Audition Ready course that goes through all of the ins and outs of not only what Adobe Audition does, but he defines a lot of the whys, like the highs and lows and what different knobs and stuff do. It's very informative. If you want to be a self-sufficient audio ninja, for your voiceover business, I highly recommend. And if you use Adobe Audition, I highly recommend checking out his course or at least his YouTube channel, VoTech Guru. He is amazing. 7 makes one dream. How many auditions do you tend to do on an average? To be completely honest with you, I don't really do auditions much anymore. I get most of my work from Upwork and Fiverr and direct clients that reach out to me through my website. It's very rare anymore that I do auditions, although I probably should do more, but I'm busy with what I have. So there really isn't any need at the moment, but I'm sure at some point doing auditions will be important for me. But I have been told that, and some of the people that I work with have told me that they have found success with doing at least 10 auditions in a day. There are some people that I know that do 30, 40 auditions in a day. It just depends on what you find available to audition for, and if you're suited for it, and if it's a budget that you would be willing to work with, right? So I would say, and really, in the end, it's a numbers game, right? Just like anything else. The more auditions you submit, the better chance you have of landing a job, right? Andy Moore says, Leicestershire. I hope I got it right that time. Thank you. Could be worse. I could be from Holy Moses. I'm not saying that. The longest Welsh place name and a nightmare to pronounce. I think I saw that somewhere on the Discovery Channel. Now that I'm seeing that and you're saying that, I think I've seen somebody attempt to say that. And I was like, oh my goodness. Okay, thank you for that. That was good. Trinchera Music, Arthur, I got it. Never mind. Okay, good. As Nath Tovar, hi. Just jumping in. How do I make a demo when I have no experience? I think I have a video or two on my channel that I go over how to make a demo, but it depends on what kind of demo that you want to create. If you're going for an audiobook demo, if you go to projectgutenberg.org, that is a site that hosts all of the books that are in the public domain, meaning they're no longer under copyright, and you can select one of those books to read to use for your sample. As far as commercial VO goes, or e-learning, if you went to YouTube and chose a video that was a commercial or e-learning or something like that, and you clicked on the little ellipses on the far right underneath the video, there should be an option to see the transcript. You can use that transcript, although I would not use it verbatim because that is somebody else's script, right? Or just use the verbiage in it and create your own script to write something for a commercial VO. And then once you start to do a few of the orders and you have the okay from the client to use them as part of your demo, then you can use little clips of that going forward as a demo of what you have done. I actually integrate that verbiage into, for instance, Fiverr. When I deliver an order for Fiverr, I have that verbiage in my delivery message that says, I would like to use a piece of this for demo purposes, unless you tell me otherwise. And of course, share with me the finished product because I'd love to see it. And if I could also use that as demo, a piece of it as for demo purposes as well, that would be fantastic. So, and then the clients will tell you whether or not that they want it to be used or not for your demo purposes. And of course, if you're under NDA, then you definitely don't want to share it, right? Okay. Sammy says, hello. What's the best way to audition for e-learning gigs? Is there a good source for sample scripts? E-learning gigs are a little bit difficult to get scripts for, I have found. I have a group, a platinum group on my website where I offer them scripts as part of their membership. And I'm right now, in fact, trying to get together some e-learning scripts for them to practice with. And I'm finding it's a little bit difficult. I think the best way to go for e-learning scripts, I know there is Edge Studio has a lot of scripts that you can use, but I don't know about using them for your demos. I would use them as practice, but not so much demos. I think the same thing as the commercial reads. I think I would just maybe watch a few tutorials and create your own script to record something for a demo. But e-learning is, if you think about it, we've seen so much e-learning ourselves that you could probably write your own just fine, because it's like a step-by-step walkthrough on how to use a particular product. So if you had, if you took your dog clicker or whatever it is in your office that you use and just write out step by step how to use it, right? And then just record that, and you can use that as a e-learning script demo or e-learning demo script. Just be creative. Just, have fun with it. Scott Care. Hi, Angela. Well, hello, Scott. When submitting an audition on ACX, do you record and submit the entire demo if it is a few pages? Thanks for the live stream. Well, thanks for watching. As far as the ACX demos go or the auditions go, I don't read the entire thing. I usually read maybe 3 to 5 minutes at most. Because I think what happens is the author selects a section that they want heard, maybe for a specific reason, maybe not. Maybe it's just a random sampling of what they just grabbed. But I think 3 to 5 minutes is sufficient. I wouldn't submit the entire thing. Yeah. My train derailed. I hope that answers your question. The Simpleton Review. How do you get your first VO jobs and how long did it take? How about Fiverr? I started in July of 2018 on Fiverr and ACX, and then I joined Upwork shortly after, just to kind of see what it was like and just see if I could win any jobs. My very first job was an audiobook on ACX, and then about 2 months after joining, maybe about a month or two after I joined Fiverr, I got my first job. And then because I'm sure, as you know, if you're on Fiverr and you don't have any reviews, no social proof at all, it's a little bit harder to get that first job. But once you have that first job and you have that 5-star review, then you'll start to see more and more people clicking on your gigs and ordering from you. But you really do need that social proof. If you're finding it difficult to get people to come to you on these freelance websites like Fiverr or Upwork, what you can do for Fiverr specifically is go to the buyer's request section and send in some proposals. Send in some, I can't think of the word, but submit some proposals for your gigs. So even if it's something that doesn't really apply to you, then you could still introduce yourself and say, hey, I'm here. I know you're looking for XYZ, but I can provide you with ABC, and this is my cost. And I know you can't link a demo or you can't attach really anything to the buyer's requests submittals, but you can link a SoundCloud demo. Like if you upload your demos to SoundCloud, you can take that link and put that into the buyer's request and send it that way. That way they have your information, your pricing, and they can hear what you sound like. But that is the best way for Fiverr if you don't have any social proof, if you don't have any ratings and you have, no traffic at all. But once you start to submit those and introduce yourself to more people, somebody might say, hey, this is great. This is exactly what I need. And then they place an order and leave you a 5-star review. And then it starts to snowball from there. But it does take a little bit of time in the beginning, for sure. Oh boy, I lost my place. Briscoe VO. When you first started, did you try to connect with local publishing houses for audiobooks? I didn't. I stayed with ACX and Upwork and Fiverr pretty much. And then as I started to move along, most of my work comes from Fiverr and from authors contacting me through my website and Upwork too as well. So, but at any point, once you feel comfortable with your experience and how and your editing process and your narrating, I would definitely start reaching out to some of these publishing houses or make yourself available like I have to indie authors. There's a lot of people doing self-publishing now. There's a lot of people that are not going through publishing houses. They're self-publishing, and they would also like a audiobook version of their book, right? So my social media, my YouTube channel, everything that I have is pretty much not targeting, maybe that's the wrong word, but I welcome indie authors to work with me because I enjoy helping out new authors. But I would recommend that you do. You can reach out to some of these publishing houses. They have a contact form. Sometimes they have in their contact area, they have a place where you can submit your demo to be put on their roster. But it's definitely something to consider. Connect with them on LinkedIn. Do what you can to make these connections and make yourself available. Lost my spot again. Tribe 213, during a busy season for you, how many hours a week do you work? I'm sure you've answered this before. If so, sorry. I'm in here 7 days a week, unless it's a holiday. So I'm in here 2 to 3 hours every day, at least. But typically, I'd say typically about 10 to 12 hours every day, unless it's a holiday. Asnath Tovar, give me a high five and a thumbs up. Thank you. Was that on the pronunciation of your name? I hope I didn't butcher it. M. Todd Coyne. Hey, biggest fan. Well, hey, thanks for watching. Aaron Sawicki says, just started the stream. No questions for today. Just saying hey to everyone. Well, thanks for joining and hi. Happy Wednesday. Oh, no, it's not Wednesday. It's Tuesday. See, that's what happens when you're in here every day with no windows. You lose track of what day it is. Oh, my gosh. Okay. Disport Reviews. Hello. I'm recently starting in the voiceover business, and your videos have been consistently helpful. Well, thanks. That's what I go for. I hope they're helpful. I appreciate everything that you take the time to talk to us about. Well, I appreciate the time you take to watch, because this is my goal for this channel, is to be the person that I needed in the very beginning, just answering all of the random questions that pop into your head as you're going through the motions and things just don't make sense. And you're like, well, what if I do this? But what happens if I do this? So I'm trying to give you everything that I have learned kind of along my own adventure through voiceover. So hopefully that answers my videos, answer some of your questions or help to prevent some problems in the future. So that's what I'm hoping for. So I'm glad that they help. Thank you for that validation. JSS, how do you conquer mouth noises? I love your channel, by the way. Well, thank you so much for watching. I'm glad you like my channel. Mouth noises are the bane of my existence. I am plagued with a sticky mouth. I can't help it. And I think in the very beginning, I spent a lot of time manually removing, auto-healing the mouth noises out of my recordings until I found Isotope's Mouth Declick, which is when I purchased it, it was in the advanced bundle. But that single plugin, and I wish you could buy it all by itself. Somebody somewhere said that you could, but I haven't been able to find it as a solo plugin. But Isotope's Mouth Declick has cut my editing time by 75-80% because you can reduce or increase the strength of how many clicks and stuff that it removes, but you have to be kind of gentle with it, as with most plugins, because you don't want to apply too much of a repair tool because it'll end up destroying your voice or taking out what you don't want it to take out. But the mouth declick has been huge. One of the best investments I ever made. Of course, you can stay hydrated and do the green apple thing. And, there are a lot of other remedies while you're narrating to help combat mouth noise, but it's just part of being human. We have sticky mouths. And if you're extra sticky, then chances are you're probably dehydrated. But I drink tons of water and I still have sticky mouth, so I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But that is the way that I deal with it. I drink a lot of water and I use Isotope's mouth declick. Helps quite a bit. Sammy says, thanks. Thank you. Disport Review says, I have a couple of questions. The first thing, how do you not go crazy when editing an audiobook? And how much attention to detail is too much attention to detail? Oh my gosh, that's so relatable. In the very beginning, for myself and for a lot of people that I have worked with, we want that first book to be absolutely perfect. We want it to be, error-free, mouth click-free, breath-free. And we tend to just, sometimes I think we overdo it on our first maybe couple of books even. But audiobook narration and then editing the audiobook, it does take a little bit of practice and a little bit of, I don't want to say finesse. It's just practice, really. It's learning your DAW and what you can and can't do, and learning some shortcuts that will save you some time. Like for me, I would copy room tone, where there's nothing being said, no breaths, no nothing, but just plain room tone, and then use that as the head and the tail room tone, and then also use that room tone that I copied to paste over big breaths or, mistakes or anything like that. So the spacing is a little bit, so it sounds more natural, like a natural flow. Now I'm going to go off on a tangent, but it is very, very easy to overdo it on your first couple of audiobooks, for sure. But editing, you can always outsource. I mean, if it just drives you absolutely batty, you can definitely outsource it. There are a lot of great audiobook narrators who offer this service on Fiverr, for example, or Upwork, that can help you with the editing process. But really, it just takes time and practice to get better at it and to make it go faster and to not drive you nuts. M. Todd Coyne says, you have such a great sound. I have the same mic and I'm still chasing the room treatment. Yes. My room has gone through a couple of redos. It was just full of Band-Aids for the longest time, but when I decided to go full-time, my very first couple of days being full-time, retiring from my day job, I spent a lot of time in this room and I pretty much gutted it. And then I completely redid it with all of the moving blankets that you see, and the ceiling is treated, all the walls are treated. I don't have hardwood floors. I have carpet, thankfully, but it took a lot of trial and error to get the room to sound okay. But the microphone, the shotgun mic, is great for noisy rooms because it only picks up what is directly in front of it. So if I move back over here, you don't really hear me as well. Same thing as over here. So if I'm directly in front of it, it'll pick me up perfectly well. So it doesn't pick up so much what's back here or over here, just directly what's in front of it. So shotgun mics are great for noisy rooms. But it does take a little bit of trial and error, for sure. Okay. But thank you for the compliment, by the way. Padrika Gray says, random thought. When clients contact you through your personal website, do you direct them to pay you through your Fiverr account, or does that matter? I mean, does Fiverr care? If a client contacts you through your personal website and not through Fiverr, then they contacted you directly. So I would recommend having some sort of like a PayPal, like a business PayPal account. That's how my clients pay me. I invoice them through my PayPal account. If they're contacting you through your personal website, they're your client. If they contacted you first through Fiverr, then that might cause an issue. But I think your question was if they directly contacted you, well, then they're your client, and I have them pay me directly through PayPal. Let's see. What's the number one best audio treatment in your studio? I would say the moving blankets on my walls, because this room is so small. There's a pretty good chance that it could either sound really super dead, or it could really be echoey, have a lot of reverb, because I am so close to all of the walls. So I covered every inch of reflective surface in here, just about every inch, and including my desk, because I have one of those gigantic like gaming mouse pads that covers my desk surface, because I didn't want any kind of reflection off of my desk surface to go into my microphone. So I would say the moving blankets for sure were probably one of the best things that I did for my room, because I could have covered it in acoustic foam or something like that, but that would have been really time consuming for me. I don't have a ton of patience, and that would have been probably not very cost effective for me. So I just bought a bunch of used moving blankets, cleaned them up, of course, and then I hung them from my walls. So it just reduces the reflection from the walls around me, which has helped quite a bit in this room. Kirk is here. Hi, Kirk. Interesting thought occurred while listening to your answer regarding how much attention to detail is too much. I've yet to narrate or even read a book in which I haven't found some copy editing error. Yes, same. I've had a handful of books where there was some sort of an issue, typo, missed punctuation. It was grammatically incorrect. But if it's something that is very glaring, I will let the author know, because I'm sure they would like to fix that in their print copy or their ebook copy. So, and that is especially true when you have self-published authors, indie authors that don't go through big publishing houses, that they maybe didn't pay for an editing service before they sent you the final draft. Maybe it's not their final draft and they sent you the wrong copy. Either way, I would let the author know and say, hey, I found this on page 52, paragraph 2. Is this supposed to be this or this? They would like to know. I would like to know if I was that author, for sure. But you're right. I mean, it's prevalent. But I would definitely let the author know. Andy Moore says, if you could easily add buy now buttons to your website to sell your voice by the word or script at a rate you choose, and with payments going to your own PayPal, would you? Absolutely. I want to say at some point, I don't know if he still does it, but Anthony Pica did that on his website. I'd have to look again and see if he still does that, but at some point he did. And he said that it worked fairly well for him. Like almost set up like I think the Upwork gig projects were, where you would have X amount of words for X amount of dollars, and it included all of the rights you would need for that voiceover's purpose. For example, if it was a commercial read up to 300 words, and then this would be your price, and that would include commercial rights, full broadcast rights, and I think that worked well for him. I don't have that on my website. I would prefer to discuss with the client first what their needs are. I'm a little bit more hands-on. I guess that would make, especially these days, it would make it easier for the client to just push a button and move on with life, just to get what they need and move on. But I like to interact with the client to get, make sure that I'm completely on the same page with them before we get started, because I don't want any issues in the future. If something was misunderstood on my part or on their part, you know what I mean? I want to make sure that we're on the same page and communicate first before I take on a project. But it is a great thing to consider doing for your website, for sure. It would make things a lot easier for some clients. Um, Disport Review says, LOL, that's pretty much what I was looking for. Thank you. Good. As a caveat on the mouth click topic, Isotope will not get all of them, at least for me. How much is acceptable? Probably subjective. It is. Um, I apply all of my effects, including Isotope's mouth declick, right after I narrate. I apply all my rack and then I go through and I edit. So at that time, while I'm removing mistakes or any other errant noises that maybe I missed while I was recording, I will use my auto heal brush and just take out the glaring mouth clicks that are still there. I would say to take out the stuff that's really distracting or catches your attention. Although as voiceover artists, as you go along, you really develop this ear for for all of the flaws in your own voice. So I wouldn't go completely nuts because you are a human after all, and it really would depend on the type of voiceover that it was. If it was a commercial read, you definitely don't want any distracting mouth clicks in it. If it was an audiobook, maybe you could leave a few in as long as they weren't, glaring and distracting. Because audiobooks are, to me anyway, someone is telling you a story. Someone is relating something to you, or, you know, I think it's a little bit more breaths too. Same thing goes with breaths and audiobooks. I think a natural breath is completely acceptable. The big, gulping breaths I would definitely remove, but the mouth clicks are about the same for audiobooks. You could probably get away with leaving a few in because you're a human telling a story. But if you're doing meditations, stuff like that, where people are really focusing on your voice, I would definitely remove them in meditations as well. But it is pretty subjective. Lost my place again. M. Todd Coin says, "Are you using a gate right now, or is this just the sound from your 416?" I am using a gate right now. I have a DBX 286S that I bought in the very beginning when I was doing Band-Aids for everything. But I have found that this room, being on the ground level, being right next to, I literally have a playground that's about 15 feet from outside my door here. But I have a noise gate. That's pretty much all I use it for anymore. But it's very low. It's a very low noise gate, so it doesn't really do a whole lot other than just kind of filter out some of the noise that is still noticeable in my room. Plus, my studio door doesn't close all the way because I have a bunch of cords running outside to my PC. So, and I'm not about to destroy my door to run them underneath the door. So it filters out a little bit of the computer noise as well. So I have a little bit of a gate on right now, just to be sure. Padrika Gray says, "Thanks, Angela. Your live chat Q&A is such a great idea." Well, thank you. I try to do these at least once a month now. Dan Hook says, "Hey, all." M. Todd Coin says, "How do you handle authors that have 10 pages to read for an audition?" I only read about 3 to 5 minutes of an ACX audition or an audiobook audition, because most of the time I find that the authors maybe just randomly selected a chapter or a few pages because they're not really sure how much of it you're going to read. But no matter what they send you, sometimes I've received an entire book for an audition. So just read 3 to 5 minutes, I think, is sufficient for an audition. Sorry, pardon me while I chapstick. Okay, let's see. Oh, Lanes says, oh, wait a minute. What is this? Okay, sorry about that, Andy. It looks like something you put in here was filtered. Sweet. Andy Moore says, "Sweet, thank you. I'm building something that will make it dead simple to sell voice demo on my site, andymore.info. Sorry for the shameless plug, but hey, I've no shame. That's fine. Absolutely. You'll find that voiceover artists are very supportive of one another, as am I. I'm very supportive of each and every one of you. And that's why I come on here and do a live Q&A. I'm trying to help everybody who's interested in achieving this dream to get started and achieve it. And then Elaine says, "I save my recordings via MP3 files. If a client asks for WAV files, what do I do? Is there a file converter you use or know about?" With the DAW that I use, Adobe Audition, I record as a WAV file because it is a uncompressed file. And then I would say that most of my clients I deliver a WAV file to, not an MP3. The MP3s are typically audiobook files, but most of the DAWs you can select what type of file to save this as. You can convert it yourself through your DAW. You just need to, usually if you click Save As, you can select what file type or what format type you want to save your file as. So you'll be able to save it as either MP3 or WAV, or maybe even a few others that are available in your DAW. So you should be able to save it as an MP3 or a WAV through your DAW. Phil says, how do you choose book to audition for, and how do you identify frauds? As far as audiobooks to audition for, I typically look for something that I will enjoy reading. I prefer right now going for more of the self-help type of books because that's just what I enjoy narrating. But I would say go for something that you would enjoy, something that you can do. Definitely check and see if there are any accents that you need to master before you audition. Something that you can sustain through the entire book. If the entire book is needing to be read in a British accent, then you need to make sure that you can sustain a British accent for the entire length of the book. And then identifying fraud. I would definitely do a little research on the author themselves. Check out their author page on Amazon. See if they have a website. Just do a little background search yourself to see if this person is who they say they are. And if you find something very, very fishy, there's no shame in reaching out to the author directly on their website and saying, hey, just to verify, I am auditioning for this book. Did you post it on ACX? It doesn't hurt just to do a little extra Scooby-Doo, right? Phil says, choose which book to audition for. Right. I gotcha. I'm with you. Okay. Mamanda Panda, I love that name. Hi. Do buyers requesting 600 words for $10 expect the track to be edited and mastered? I would say yes. I would definitely ask. I would assume that every client that I work for wants a finished product. If you have doubt, you can definitely ask that client if that is what they are expecting. Although that sounds like maybe a YouTube narration. There are a lot of those where people with YouTube channels that have top 10, that sort of thing, they want a bulk discount basically because they're doing a lot of scripts for, a relatively small budget. So that's what that sounds like that is. But I definitely just reach out to them and ask them if that's what their expectation is. Disport Review says, sounds good to me. Thank you. Thank you. Tom Freya says, so pleased to hear that you use the DBX 286. I also use it. It saves hours of time and stress. Yes, it does. Elaine says, thanks. William Downing says, how do you balance having some time of a life outside VO while you're huddled in a closet up to 12 hours a day? Well, it's off and on. I get in here early and then, I make some time to pick up the kiddo from school, help with homework, do dinner, and then I come back down in here after the kiddo goes to bed, that sort of thing. And then on the days that I'm only in here a couple of hours, I'm spending the rest of the day with my family. So I spend a lot of time in here, but this is what is required for my business. And my family is happy that I'm not trying to be in here all night, and then going to my day job during the day. I saw them a whole lot less when I was trying to do this with a day job as well. So I can schedule my time that best fits my family's needs. Now I have that ability, so that makes it worth it. Phil says, thanks, Angela. Thank you. Well, you're welcome. Todd Coyne says, super helpful. Love your authenticity. Well, thank you. Mamanda Panda says, yep, YouTube, found in buyer's request. Yeah, you'll see a lot of those. And those are the types of jobs where you need to make the decision. I would never say take 0 over $10, but it's really up to you what you want to do, because if it is something that if it's a client that you're going to be able to work with for a long time, That is a lot of volume that you can count on and have something versus nothing. I know some people say, absolutely not, I'm never going to do it. But I say, do what you want to do what you're comfortable with. Because I am not one to tell someone how to live their life or how to run their business. That's just the way that it is. Disport Review says, I have to run. Thanks for answering all the questions, and I'll try to make it to these every time you do it. Keep up the great work, and thanks again. Well, thank you so much. And actually, on that note, I've got a meeting in about 10 minutes with someone that I work with, so I need to wrap this up too. But I also wanted to tell you guys that I am officially coaching a class for a VO's Journey Academy on Fridays at 1 p.m. my time, which is Mountain. If you are not a VO's Journey Academy Elite member, please check out the link that I have down in the description down below. And it is a great program. It's a full voiceover academy with training every day of the week, apart from Saturday and Sunday, I believe. But there is a different instructor Monday through Friday. And there's at least an hour-long session every day on different topics relating to voiceover. And I am officially starting on Friday as the newest coach for audiobook narration. So if you are not part of the academy and you want to check it out, check out the link below in the description. I'm very excited to be part of a VO's Journey Academy, and maybe I'll see some of you on Friday. Oh, quick couple last questions here. Dan Hook says, would you ward off an author from doing a VO on their own book? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I like to hear authors narrate their own books. You know, if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. But they might need help with editing and formatting, and that's where you can perhaps, extend a hand to help, right? Sammy says, thank you so much. You're welcome. Thank you for watching. 7 makes one dream. Thank you for the helpful live. Thank you for watching. Arthur says, thanks, Angela. Thanks you, Arthur. Tom Freya says, thank you, Angela. All the best. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today. Tom, hi, Tom. He says, great session today. Looking forward to your coaching with VO's Journey. Awesome. Fabulous. Dan Hook says, thanks, Angela. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining me today. I really appreciate your time. One last one. Oh, okay. Mandy. I'll see ya. All right, guys. Well, that is it for today. Oh, wait a minute. Kirk says, as always, back to the horror. Back to the horror. Oh, you're the best, Kirk. Okay, guys. Okay, William says, yep, thanks and looking forward to Fridays at the Academy. Awesome. Well, it looks like we've got a lot of Academy members in here. I'll be seeing you on Friday. I have got to run to my next meeting. Thank you,